Well, Mr. President-elect and the former President,
Thank you.
Donald, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And looking forward to having like we said, smooth transition. Do everything we can to make sure you're accommodated, what you need. And we're going to get a chance to talk about some of that today. So
Good.
welcome
Thank you
back.
very much. And thank you very much. And politics is tough, and it's in many cases not a very nice world, but it is a nice world today, and I appreciate it very much. And a transition that's so smooth, it'll be as smooth as it can get, and I very much appreciate that, Joe.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Look at that smile on Joe's face. I honestly believe that Joe Biden loves Trump. If I had to guess, if I had to put money on it, I would say that Joe Biden actually probably voted for Trump. Shit. Kamala Harris probably voted for Trump for that matter. Doug Emhoff might have voted for Trump. Everybody in her cabinet. I mean, the whole country was red, practically. And he won the popular vote. The only people that decided that they wanted to vote for Kamala Harris because the jig was up was black people. Black people. They say black women at an 88% clip, or was it 80-something? I forgot what it was. It was like 80-something percent. Black men was at 78% or something like that, or 73%. It was an average of over 80% amongst black people that actually voted for Kamala Harris, which just shows you that I was right about the fact that it was going to take other people to step in order to make sure that this election was won, which obviously it didn't even make a difference at this point. She was getting washed. She had no chance whatsoever. But look at the smile on Joe's face. He is ecstatic. He is happy. Ever since this election, he's been jogging faster, walking faster, skipping. It looked like he got new energy, new battery in his back. From the beginning in 2021, when I first started reporting on this administration, because I had believed in my heart that this election had been finessed and that Trump had to win it 3 times if he was going to win to become president of the United States again, right? And I had been reading that the Biden-Kamala Harris, I don't know what you want to call it, an experiment, had been a disaster from the very beginning, because there was reports coming out of the White House that she was very difficult to work with, and she was using her diversity, equity, and inclusion and her gender role to say that, she wasn't getting a fair shot and all of this stuff, right? Then comes the border czar situation, which obviously we know that was an absolute disaster. She never should have had that position. She knew nothing about the border, obviously. And even though she would parade around and say, I have prosecuted trash national gangs, obviously you knew nothing about patrolling, making sure people wasn't getting into the border. And maybe you did. And that's the real finesse. Maybe you did, because they made sure that they left the borders open. And so I believe that Joe Biden is getting the last laugh, because he probably is saying to himself and to all of his critics that want to blame him for getting out of the race late, that I never should have been pushed out of the race in the first place. And very rarely do you see an incumbent, which I believe that Trump was going to win no matter what. He was going to watch this whole thing no matter what. Very rarely do you see an incumbent don't go for a second term and try to win this race. Now, here's the caveat, and this is the hilarious part. Couple different things. The first thing is, technically, if Joe is not completely in a state of holding his blankie and knitting, can technically run for president of the United States again, similar to the way that Trump did. The other gag is that Trump is the first president to beat 2 women. The first president to beat 2 women. First Hillary Clinton, and now he beat Kamala Harris. Wrong candidates. Y'all should have seen what happened to Hillary Clinton the first time. And then the second time, when it came to baby Cam, they tried to make her the mama in charge and all of that stuff. Man, that's not going to work, bro. Ain't nobody scared of Cam. And the fact that she said that her administration wouldn't be too much different, she can't think of anything outside of the fact that she's just her, that it would be too much different than what we had already experienced. And people was like, nah, I'm not about to have some random lady that's leaning on identity politics to try to get herself elected. But I will say that she did good with black people. Let me give herself a round of applause. She did do good with black folk, meaning that, black people, they fell for the okie doke. They said that, oh, yeah, we're going to legalize marijuana on a federal level. Oh, yeah, we're going to make sure that y'all can eliminate unwanted babies as a form of contraception. Oh, yeah, we're going to give y'all some stimmies, some PPP loans. Man, get the hell up out of here with that junk. Don't nobody want that. But some of us, and slowly but surely, I will give a lot of us credit. We are leaving a Democratic plantation. But in this situation where Joe Biden is just skipping along and he's having a good time, it looks like he's really, really enjoying himself. During the campaign, after he got kicked out, he wore the Trump hat. He was sitting there parading around. They wouldn't even keep him on the campaign trail no more. And, he had to do his job similar to the way that Obama had to do his job. And speaking of Obama, even though he was trying to convince us that we was misogynistic if we didn't vote for Kamala Harris as black people and as black men, he even questioned whether or not Kamala Harris should be the president of the United States of America and that she should be nominated on the Democratic side. Maybe Obama and Joe got it right. Maybe when they were sitting at that funeral and they were trying to whisper to each other, but then the lip readers was able to see what they were saying, maybe they was right. Here's the question that we have to ask ourselves as we transition over this next 4 years, as Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy has now been named to the government efficiency in order to make sure that we getting stuff together and finding out where all of the bloatware is coming from. Now that we got Tom Homan controlling the borders, now that we got the chief of staff, now that we see what's happening with Tulsi Gabbard, now that we see what's happening all across the board. Here's the question, and I don't think that she's done. I don't think that she's done. I want to do a whole live stream. I'm putting together a whole show on this. Who next? Do you have Kamala Harris? Because the Democrats obviously is in shambles. You're not going to get another Bernie Sanders run. He's too liberal. And they let Tulsi Gabbard get away from him and head over to the Republican side. You only really got 3 possible candidates. The rest of them is old, aged out, lifetime politicians and all of that. And I think that all 3 of them are a disaster. You can get a Kamala Harris run again. We know that that's going to go left. You can get a Gavin Newsom. He's the worst governor in the United States of America. And then you got AOC waiting in the wings. I believe that the next play that they're going to run is probably either another Kamala Harris. They determined to get a woman in there. And specifically, they want a woman of color because they want to tap into that demographic. They have nothing to stand on when it comes to actually doing the things that's best for Americans. I believe that they either going to pitch to us another Kamala Harris or AOC run. And AOC is still very young, so she can still play that out. Kamala Harris is still relatively young. She got another couple of years. I think that they're going to pitch it because I don't know where else Kamala Harris can go outside of going back to being a district attorney, a senator, or something like that. But I believe that their next play is that they're always going to try to push a woman in front of us to try to make sure that they get them in office. It's not going to work. I don't believe it's going to work in my midlife. In the midlife of my life, at some point, they're going to try to get a woman in there, but I don't think so. I don't think that Trump wanted it. Obviously, he beat up on 2 women in order to get to the president. I don't think that Joe wanted it, and that's why he's so happy to see Trump back in the White House. And I don't think that America wants it. And I think that the Democratic Party actually took 10 steps back instead of 1 step back, and they're absolutely in shambles, and that's why you see the civil war going on right now. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, make sure you get your tickets. Come and kick it with me December 14th in Detroit. It's going to absolutely be awesome. And then last but not least, I would love for you guys to get that Teach Pack, 40% off your first order plus 20% off for life. I love you. I appreciate you. Let me know what y'all think in the comments about Joe and Trump meeting again in order to get his transition into the White House as smooth as eggs, baby.